Hello and welcome back to AP Psychology. My name is Mrs. Seguin. Today we're going to be covering our chemical senses. So this is Unit 3, Lesson 5. And our chemical senses are mainly talking about taste and smell. So our learning objectives for the day. We're going to describe the taste and smell processes, including the nature of energy transduction, relevant anatomical structures, the tongue and the nose, and specialized pathways in the brain for each of the senses. Okay, so we're going to talk about gustation or taste. Taste is a chemical sense because instead of like sight or hearing where you're sensing waves or sound waves or light waves, right? You are tasting chemicals. So it's a chemical sense, right? So you're tasting a substance. This is done through your taste buds, which are located on the side of your papillae on your tongue, which are the little tiny bumps on your tongue that you like burn when you drink really hot chocolate, right? So the taste buds are connected to sensory nerves, it's an afferent nerve. It's a sensory neuron that takes the message to the spine or the brain. Okay, the taste buds regenerate about every 2 weeks. So super tasters are individuals with more papillae and therefore more taste buds on their tongues. If you put blue dye on your tongue, like, okay, let's say you eat a really blue dum-dum sucker or something, right? The blue will stick to the bumps on your tongue or the papillae. Okay. Traditional taste sensations consist of 4 tastes. So our main 4 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. We also have a 5th taste that, some people are not so sure on. It's called umami. And umami is an inherent savoriness described as brothy or meaty. So astringent tastes, they pucker the mouth. So think eating a warhead as a kid. They pucker the mouth, they numb the tongue, they constrict the throat. These are present in unripe bananas, in pomegranates, cranberries. If you've ever eaten a cranberry that's not in something sweet, cranberries don't produce a lot of natural sugar, and so they're very, very astringent. Red meat or burnt or smoked food, that's why it tastes bad. Your whole mouth is like bleh, and it just kind of rejects it, right? Okay, then we get to smell. So that was taste. I know we went kind of fast. Smell is known as olfaction, and the nerve that connects the nose to the brain is known as the olfactory nerve. So like taste, smell is a chemical sense. Odorants, or molecules of whatever you're smelling, enter the nasal cavity, the holes in your nose, right, to stimulate 5 million receptors that sense your smell. The olfactory epithelium is responsible for detecting those odorants and is at the roof of the nasal cavity. So it's right up in here, right? So the nasal cavity, your nose is here, but your sinuses and your nasal cavity, they go all the way back behind your eyes. So it's at the very top of your nasal cavity. It's about 7 centimeters above and behind the nostrils. Humans can detect about 10,000 odors. So what's strange though is we don't actually have really strong senses of smell compared to like dogs or other animals. Our sense of smell is pretty paltry. But the fact that we can still detect 10,000 odors is pretty impressive. Okay, olfaction, which is a very fancy word for smell, right? So I want you guys, you don't need to know all the parts of this diagram, but I want you to pay attention to the olfactory bulb, which is number 1, it's that big yellow thing on top, right? And the olfactory receptor cells, which are number 6 at the very bottom. Notice the number of processes that smell has to go through to get to your brain. It's interesting, right? Your olfactory receptors in the nasal cavity regenerate approximately once a month. So about every month you get new olfactory receptors. Smell and memory. Have you ever walked into the kitchen and you smell this one dish cooking and it just reminds you of grandma's house, or smells like fall, or smells like Christmas? And it doesn't smell like Christmas. Christmas doesn't have a smell. But you have associated in your memory all of these different smells with this event. So notice where the hippocampus is, okay? It is this pink part right here. That's the hippocampus. And then the olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb is not far, right? They kind of bump up to one another. They're nice and close to where the memories are made. So the connection between your sense of smell and your memory is actually really strong. Okay, sensory interaction. This is when one sense affects another sense. So that's when the interaction is taking place. So it's interaction between the senses, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. So the taste of fruit interacts with its smell and its texture on the tongue to produce the taste. We'll test this when we get to class, but basically I want you to clothespin your nose and then try eating something like, say an orange, something that you know how it should taste, right? If you eat it and you can taste it you shouldn't be able to taste it really well, because a lot of the tasting happens through the nose, believe it or not. But this is the sensory interaction. So your smell and your taste work together to produce the fullness of the taste. All right, so today we talked about our sense of taste and our sense of smell, and we covered them fairly quickly, so it should be a really short video. I will see you in class tomorrow. Bye.